Okay, y'all, it's time to roll up the sleeves. It's time to get to work. Oh boy, have we got a lot of work to do tonight. Woo! Have mercy. Gotta get in game mode here. Give me 1 second, folks. Kind of important. One has to look presentable when one goes on a live stream. That's right. I think I just about got everything put over where I want it. Alrighty. Cool. All right, let's get down to business, y'all. Oh, what a day, what a day, what a day. What a day it will be when my Jesus I shall see. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome to the Monday night edition. Tuesday night edition of Chattin on the Porch. See, this is what happens when you give me a day off. Of course, there's no day off in my line of work, really. You may choose not to live stream, but that doesn't mean that you are off. Well, I might be off, but you get the idea. We're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Twitter. So if you haven't done it yet, send out a tweet, a Gettr, a Gab, a Truth Social, wherever you may be on social media. Tell everybody we're here tonight. Glad to have all you here, and welcome back for another session of Chatting on the Porch. And as usual in 2024, we are loaded with news and a lot to talk about. Going to do our best to squeeze it all in, give you some analysis, give you guys a chance to say something about it, and we shall have fun doing it. Anyhow, welcome to Chatting on the Porch with your favorite Front Porch Conservative, sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau, sometimes known as the wise guy on the wide brim, but I'm always known as your host. Glad to have you here tonight. Good to see y'all. Let's get into having a load of fun. TBA over on Rumble says, "Hi, ho." Are you calling me a hoe? What the? Hey, man, I ain't no hoe. I might be a gigolo, but I ain't no hoe. Just saying. Anyway, TBA says, "I am a hoe." And you may be right, and I may be crazy. All right, it is so good to have y'all here tonight. Let's get down to business. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So much to talk about tonight. So glad to have y'all here. Gypsy's good to see you. And I saw your what you tweeted at me, darling. And we are definitely going to talk about that. So, oh goodness. It's Tuesday, the 28th of May. And the Democrat Party is in collective freakout mode. Now, don't take my word for it. Y'all think, oh, Front Porch, there he goes again. He just out there just doing his thing and just spouting off whatever comes into his head. Nay, but no, my friends. Nay, but no. We have this from the one of the high priests of leftist journalism, Politico. Did you guys see the article that came out on their website today? And we're going to talk about it because it kind of sets up a whole bunch of everything and explains what is happening nationwide. So let's just dive right into it because this article is spilling the tea in more ways than one, or whatever the phrase the kids use these days is. Anyway, I take you to the electronic pages of Politico.com, and we start with the following. Dems in full-blown freak-out mode over Biden. One advisor to major Democrat donors keeps running a list of reasons Biden could lose. Article by Christopher Cadelago, Sally Goldenberg, and Elena Schneider. We've got the following. A pervasive sense of fear has settled in at the highest levels of the Democrat Party over President Joe Biden's reelection prospects, even among office holders and strategists who had previously expressed confidence about the coming battle with Donald Trump. All year, Democrats have been on a joyless and exhausting grind through the 2024 election. But now, nearly 5 months from the election, anxiety has morphed into palpable trepidation, according to more than a dozen party leaders and operatives. And the gap between what Democrats will say on TV or in print and what they'll text to their friends has only grown as worries have surged about Biden's prospects. Quote, "You don't want to be that guy who is on record saying we're doomed or the campaign's bad or Biden's making mistakes. Nobody wants to be that guy," said a Democrat operative in close touch with the White House and granted anonymity to speak freely. But Biden's stubbornly poor polling and the stakes of the election are creating the freakout, he said. This isn't, oh my God, Mitt Romney might become president. It's, oh my God, the democracy might end. Yet, despite everything, Trump is running ahead of Biden in most battleground states, which, by the way, we'll get to in just a moment. He raised more money in April, and the landscape may only become worse for Democrats, with Trump's hush money trial concluding and another, this one involving the president's son, set to begin in Delaware. The concern has metastasized in recent days as Trump jaunted to some of the country's most liberal territories, including New Jersey and New York, to woo Hispanic and black voters as he boasted, improbably, that he would win in those areas. While he's long lagged Biden in cash on hand, Trump's fundraising outpaced the president by $25 million last month and included a record-setting $50.5 million haul from an event in Palm Beach, Florida. One advisor to major Democratic Party donors provided a running list that has been shared with funders of nearly 24 reasons why Biden could lose, ranging from immigration and high inflation to the president's age, the unpopularity of Vice President Kamala Harris, and the presence of third-party candidates like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Quote, donors ask me on an hourly basis what I think, the advisor said, calling it so much easier to show them, so while they read it, I can pour a drink. The advisor added, the list of reasons why we could win is so small, I don't even need to keep the list on my phone. That's bad. Let's go a little bit further into this article. There have been few moments in Biden's term as president that haven't been second-guessed, and his aides have made sport of sneering at grim predictions, compiling dossiers of headlines and clips in which the president was underestimated. Biden's campaign aides and allies point to some positive polls, including in the battlegrounds, and Trump's comparative lack of campaigning and infrastructure in key states, including staff, organizing programs, and advertising. A little further on down. But Democrat critics of the campaign's approach, while agreeing that abortion should be a winning issue, said they are challenged when pressed by friends to make the case for why Biden will win. Quote, there's still a path to win, but they don't look like a campaign that's embarking on that path right now, said Pete Giangreco, a longtime Democratic strategist who's worked on multiple presidential campaigns. If the frame of this race is, what was better, the 3.5 years under Biden or 4 years under Trump, we lose that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Folks, it is official. It has set in. The Democratic Party is in official meltdown, and now they are openly admitting it. To which my response to the mainstream media, who apparently is just now catching up to the fact that the Democrat Party is in meltdown, is this. Welcome to the party, pal. We, the folks on the electronic front porch, and many listeners and various other places around social media have been trying to tell anybody who listened to us Biden is in serious trouble. Oh, no, he's not. He's not. He's fine. He's got a major fundraising advantage. He's got all his infrastructure in all the states, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Honey, are you going to believe what I tell you or what you see with your lying eyes? That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. We are all prepared to see what we see with our lying eyes. Biden is in deep doo-doo. He is up to his neck in shite. Of mostly his own making, by the way. So yeah, that article has been circulating around all day long, and everybody's been talking about it, as well they should. So I think we ought to talk about it. I remember going back to January of last year, February really, and I started seeing polling coming out that said about a third of Democrats do not want Joe Biden to run for re-election, which didn't necessarily surprise me because, as I've said on many occasions, Joe Biden has never been universally loved inside the Democrat Party. If his name was Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, people would charge at the gates of hell carrying squirt guns to try to defend this guy. Joe Biden, not so much. Oh, they're defending him, but not because they love him, only because he's signing the paperwork to give them basically whatever they want. Bill Clinton was an out-and-out scoundrel, and that's being very diplomatic about it. But he was beloved in the Democrat Party. They fought and died for that man. Didn't matter what hill they were on, they were willing to fight and die to keep him in, and they did, including an impeachment vote. Barack Obama served 2 terms, beloved inside the Democrat Party. Joe Biden, not so much. And all throughout the campaign season of 2023 and then going into the primaries and caucuses of 24, you could see it. 10% in this state, 15, 20% in some cases, of people who are voting for anybody but Joe Biden. And the longer this campaign keeps going on, the more people start realizing we are in trouble. And I think the reasons in the Politico article are perfectly valid. Inflation, foreign wars, cost of living, wages not keeping up with paychecks and everything else. You've got unpopularity of policies. You got Biden trying to ram a new Green Deal down everybody's throat, which is taking away freedom and liberty of opportunity to choose for themselves how they want to live their lives and to determine their own destinies. You've got lawfare against a political opponent, which everybody is laying at the feet of Joe Biden, appropriately so, might I add. This guy is in trouble. Now, I always add the caveat, he could still win. He could. But right now, he's in trouble, and the Democrats know it. If you don't believe me, take a listen to one of our old friends on the electronic front porch. I say that tongue-in-cheek, but you get the idea. Our good friend, James Carville. This was from late last week or over the weekend. Folks, do me a favor and check out what he's got to say.
And we keep wondering why these young people aren't coming home to the Democrats. We say, oh, why blacks are not coming home to the Democrats? Because Democratic messaging is full of shit. That's why.
James, don't hold back. Tell me what you really think. It's not messaging. I mean, look, James Carville, regardless of whatever disagreements I may have with him politically, is probably one of the finest political operatives in the history of the game. Okay? But I disagree with him ever so slightly on this one. This is not a matter of Democrat messaging. This is a matter of Democrat policy, and the messaging can't cover it up. Okay? Go back to the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Go back to how the administration handled the disaster at East Palestine, Ohio. Go back to Maui. Go back to any number of different things that this administration has put its hands on. You've heard of the Midas touch, where everything you put your hands on goes to gold. The Biden campaign has the manure touch. Everything they put their hands on goes to shit in a heartbeat. Fast. It's absolutely insane, and it's true. Yeah, exactly. Messaging versus real life. It's not a matter of messaging, James. Everybody can see what your president, your guy, Biden, what he's doing, and it's not helping. And yeah, Robert, you're absolutely right. It's almost like they know they can't win a fair election, which, by the way, we've got an update from your beloved state of Ohio, and we're going to get to that here in a few minutes, too. So hang on, brother. I'm glad you stopped in tonight. Good to see you. And this applies to you, M69, not to dox you or anything. Yeah, I agree with you. Carville's just, you can see he's spitting it through his teeth. He can't stand it. It's just making him crazy. You know? Absolutely. Over on Rumble, let's see what everybody's talking about over there. Let's see what's going on. Hang on a minute. Gotta catch up with everybody over on the Rumble chat. Yeah, they're talking about De Niro. Yeah, we're gonna get into that too. Yeah, they're gonna admit it. West Virginia Patriot USA says, "Woohoo! Meltdown, finally admitting it." Absolutely. Yeah, it's killing them. It's just absolutely killing them right now. Yeah, Carville does look like a snake. I don't disagree with that. But Carville is as sharp as they get. I mean, Oh, yeah, I am way behind on the chat. You're right, TBA. I'm trying to keep it up. My apologies. But yeah. Oh, whoa, wait a minute, y'all. Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to welcome somebody back. She's been jet setting around the world. Hello, Leanne, my darling. Good to have you back. Glad to see you. You're going to have to tell us about your trip down south. Way down south, that is. Belize. I believe you were in Belize, as I remember what you posted online. If I'm wrong, tell me. But yeah, we're glad to have you back, darling. But yeah, the Democrats are absolutely freaking out over Biden. And again, to borrow a great line from that movie Die Hard, welcome to the party, pal. Y'all should have picked up on this a long time ago. You know, you should have realized, and it's too late. It is too late. You can't get rid of him. You're stuck with him. I mean, there's all this Democrat talk about, well, can we replace him at the convention? Can we get the guy out of here? Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. No, it's too late. Y'all are done. And by the way, when you do what you're about to do to solve your problem in Ohio, you've sealed your fate. And I will explain that here in just 1 minute. Now, you might wonder in part why the Democrats are freaking out as bad and as hard as they are. God, man, you talk about giving them heartburn. If that actually happens, I will fall in the floor laughing. If that actually happens. But you wonder why they are freaking out? Well, guys, the next set of polls that I'm about to show you come from the Cook Political Report, which is by no means, right wing. They try to be down the middle, although they wind up leaning a little bit left. And I think you're going to begin to understand the problem here. This was as of Friday, I believe. Let me double check this. I think I'm right. Yeah, these were as of Friday. In a straight head-to-head, Arizona, Trump +1. Georgia, Trump +3. Michigan, Trump +2, which, by the way, Gypsy, we got updated numbers out of Michigan. I'll get to those here in just a minute. Nevada, Trump +9. North Carolina, Trump +7. Pennsylvania, Trump +3. Wisconsin tied, although I got a little bit of trouble believing that. If you throw in multiple candidates, Georgia, Trump +4. Michigan, Trump +3. Nevada, Trump +8. North Carolina, Trump +8. Pennsylvania, Trump +3. Wisconsin tied. Here's some general election numbers. Emerson, Trump +2. Throw in multiple candidates, it's Trump +5. The averages, you say? Well, let me show you. According to Real Clear Politics, average of polls, head-to-head, Biden against Trump, Trump's got a 1-point lead nationwide. If you take it back out and run it out to multiple candidates, then Trump's got a almost 2-point lead nationwide. Now, I said we had some updated numbers from Michigan. Well, for all you Michiganders, check this out. We had some polling that just came out today from MIRS Mitchell Research. Head-to-head, Michigan, Trump and Biden, Trump +2. Throw in multiple candidates, Trump +1. Average it out, multiple candidates, it's a tie. And if you take it straight head-to-head, then you're looking at Trump with a 0.5 point lead, although I'd rather be Trump right now as I would Biden. So now is everybody beginning to understand the collective freak out among the Democrats? WWG1, didn't Carville also talk about dragging a dollar bill through a trailer park? Yeah, that was back during the whole Paula Jones thing in the days of Clinton. Absolutely. Yeah. TBA says 1.1 lead, my ass. I don't disagree with you, but, Zippy, how you doing? By the way, WWG1, I think you may have noticed that you have been knighted. Congratulations. You've now been named the Duke of Earl, or at least a mod over on Rumble. You have full authority. Now, I've only got one request of you, my friend. Here are my rules. If somebody is on Rumble in chat and they're taking shots at me, fine. I signed up for the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I got no problem with that. Now, when they start being rude to other people in chat, or they've got troll tendencies, okay, give them a little bit of rope, and then after that, you can, proverbially hang them with it, from a mod's point of view, so to speak. Don't freak out, YouTube. I'm not talking about literally, okay? No. But yes, you're now knighted the Duke of Earl. All right, so now I bring all this up. I wanted to bring you that article from Politico for sure, okay? Because I want you guys to see what's going on here. That quiet, confident feeling y'all are feeling, but there's always that, on the back of my neck, my hair standing up because I know I'm dealing with the Democrats. But somewhere deep down in your souls, you're thinking, we could win this thing. My God, we might win this thing. Folks, more and more there are signs and portents out there that are making me feel like, yep, this could happen. And again, with the caveat among adult, mature people that anything is possible. There's just a little over 5 months to go. But the momentum clearly right now is on Donald Trump's side. He's campaigning in the Bronx. He's campaigning in southern New Jersey. He's talking to construction workers in Manhattan. He's going to fire departments in the Big Apple. I agree with you. I agree with you, Robert. I agree. I'm just saying. The signs and the portents are there. The momentum is there. You can feel it. And you can see it. And it's so bad now, the Democrats are wanting to flip out over it. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I agree. There's any number of reasons why we are gathered together on the electronic front porch. Aside from the fact I think y'all love me, and I love y'all too. But we also gather together to kind of collectively hold hands and go, you okay over there? You okay over there? I'm okay. Cool. We're kind of here to remind ourselves, y'all, we got this. We're going to get through it. Let's do what we got to do. We're going to make this thing happen. Okay. Now, lest you think that Politico is, these three authors have lost their minds, and all these Democrat operatives are just straight crazy or drunk or both, which is possible. TBA says, yeah, it's a support group. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what we call this support group of ours, past Fedora Nation, but I'm just saying. But yeah, I know. I hear you. Yeah, I think this is a good one. And you got MAGA Democrats 2024. That's going to be a fascinating thing to watch the closer we get to the election. Yeah, it does feel different than 2020. I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that point. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Lest you think these Democrat operatives who are speaking on condition of anonymity to Politico have lost their minds, they're out of their heads, whatever. There's more than just polling evidence to give them reason to believe that there's more than just polling evidence. Let us go up to the trial in New York City. Now, folks, that trial started at 10 a.m. this morning. It is currently 7:55 p.m. East Coast. I want to show you the live feed from Politico.com. Would you believe they're still in there? They're still in there. The prosecution is still in there giving their closing arguments. Now, you might sit there and say, Well, front porch, what does that have to do with evidence about why the Democrats ought to be freaking out? Ladies and gentlemen, this is all they've got left. Now, well, let me back that up and rephrase that another way. This is all they've got left at the moment. The Democrats cannot get Joe Biden reelected on a policy argument. If this comes down to a choice of, were you better off under Donald Trump versus Joe Biden? Guess what? Donald Trump's going to win that argument. Like the Politico article said, Democrats are admitting it. If this comes down to an argument of were you better off under Donald Trump or Joe Biden, Donald Trump's going to win that every day and twice on Sunday. And the Democrats know it. So they can't use a policy argument to get Biden across the finish line. They can't use the fact that Joe Biden is beloved inside the Democratic Party to get him across the finish line. Okay? They know that Donald Trump is going into places like the Bronx and New Jersey. He's going to be soon going to Detroit. He's going to be out there campaigning in supposedly blue states, whatever the hell that means, and talking to people that are the base of the Democratic Party, African Americans, Hispanics, the young, the old, etc. This trial is probably all they've got left. I mean, as I've said before, there are only two other things that I could see right now that either slow down or stop Donald Trump. I just think they might slow him down. One is who he picks for the vice presidential nominee. And the other is if he does not take the two debates that he has with Joe Biden seriously and underperforms what he could do. Those two things right there could slow his momentum because the trial isn't going to do it. Now, let's go back and talk about current events up in New York City right now. This is absolutely cracking me up. Absolutely cracking me up. The prosecution, let me start at the beginning of the day. Okay. Court got started at about 10 a.m. All right. And as everybody in the courtroom was aware, Marshawn said, look, we're not going to break this up over, we're not going to break up the closing arguments over Memorial Day. We'll just start this thing fresh on Tuesday. Now, you can agree, disagree, but okay, that's what he did. All right. So at 10 o'clock this morning, Todd Blanche, who is the lead attorney for Donald Trump, got up to give the closing argument. Now, New York is a little bit weird. Okay. Well, gee, there's something shocking. And in other news, water is wet. But what I mean by weird is they do something very unusual in their court proceedings. When it comes to closing arguments, it's the defense that goes first, and then the prosecution follows them. Usually it's the other way around. Usually the prosecution makes their closing argument, and the defense comes in behind them. Not so in a New York courtroom, which I find to be very strange. But then again, maybe that's a way that, New York courts build in an advantage to the prosecution. But anyway. So at about 10 o'clock this morning, Todd Blanche gets up to give his argument, and frankly gives a pretty good one. It runs just about 3 hours. He started at 10. They stopped at 1 for lunch. Came back in at 2. Blanche finished it up. So 3 hours of a closing argument on behalf of the defense of Donald Trump. Now that sounds like a long time, and I don't disagree with you. But comparatively speaking, the prosecution started at about a little after 2 o'clock, and they're still in there as of 8 o'clock tonight. They have been in there for 6 hours. Now, I'm no lawyer, as y'all are fully aware. I'm just a fellow that kind of comments on everything. But the part that, to me, I would rather have been the defense in this respect, give a closing argument that is tight, compact, full of punch, deliver it quickly but efficiently, deliver it in such a way that you feel like the jury understands what you're trying to get across, and then go sit down. Okay? Whereas the prosecution right now is going, from the sound of it, and again, I'm trying to read as much of it as I can, but it sounds like the prosecution is re-arguing their case. Yeah, and I agree with this completely. To me, to keep this thing going is not helping the prosecution at all. Now, again, I could be absolutely wrong about this. Okay? I could be wrong. WWG1 over on Rumble says, is the prosecution using some sort of screwed up Socratic method? Who knows what the prosecution's doing? I don't, to me, I'm like small time Republic here. Break it up. Look, you know you're going to have a long closing argument. That's fine. Hang on. We may have an update from, we may have an update. Okay. They just concluded, literally, they just concluded their closing argument. The closing arguments are done. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass has concluded his closing argument. His final words to the jury were, quote, in the interest of justice and on behalf of the people of the state of New York, I ask you to find the defendant guilty. Thank you. All right. TBA, the verdict is not in. The verdict is not in. Now, here's where we're at. I don't know if Marshawn is going to wait till in the morning to do it, or whether he's going to do it tonight and then send everybody home. I've got a feeling, I can't prove it. We'll find out here in a minute. Marshawn still has to give his instructions to the jury, and then from there they start deliberating. Okay? So now, yeah, he who lasts longest. There you go. That's a good point too. That's a good point. TBA, no, I doubt seriously that they're going to start their deliberations tonight. I doubt that they will start tonight. If I had to guess, and like I said, the reporters for Politico and thehill.com are still there in the courtroom. If I had to guess, I'd say that Marshawn's going to dismiss everybody to go home. They will come back in the morning. He will deliver their instructions, and then he will put it in the hands of the jury. I don't disagree with this. I think that, to me, had I been the prosecution, I would have broken it up. Look, let them go home at a normal hour. You have held these people there way past as long as you should have. Okay? You should have broken it up. But that's just me. And I definitely would not have made a 6-hour closing argument. But let's talk about the closing arguments at least as much as I can put out there for you guys. Okay. I will say this. I've said before and I'll say again, there are a number of fantastic folks who are doing almost like play-by-play. There's one commenter, and I'm trying to find who it is real quick. Yeah, Citizen Free Press. Citizen Free Press has been doing a fantastic job covering this. The play-by-play, the blow-by-blow on this is one. Also, Andrew Giuliani's been doing a great job of it. Honestly, I got, even though they might be a little bit biased, I got to give credit to Politico and thehill.com. They're biased, but they give a good play-by-play on what's been going on. So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about the closing arguments if we may. I will give Todd Blanche credit. Oh, hello, Leah. How are you, darling? Oh, we've got a fun little crowd in here tonight, and a good little crowd over on Rumble, too. Glad to have all you Rumblers with us. Bless your hearts. Y'all are great. Todd Blanche gave about a 3-hour closing argument, give or take a few minutes. And in part of his argument, he gave 10 reasons why the jury should not find Donald Trump guilty, should not find him guilty. Let's take a look at some of these. I think this is a very succinct way of looking at the argument. Number one, Michael Cohen created the invoices that were paid ultimately that paid him the cash. Number two, Trump didn't know about the vouchers or the checks. No evidence of any intent to defraud. There's no falsification of business records. No evidence of an effort to illegally influence the election. The National Enquirer would have run the doorman story if it was true, and that's the story about Donald Trump having an illicit love child. Karen McDougal did not want her story published. Stormy Daniels' story was already public as of 2011, by the way. Manipulation of evidence, claims that the DA selectively excluded evidence. And then Michael Cohen, he's the human embodiment of reasonable doubt, literally. Oh, by the way, Todd Blanche got off one of the best lines that I think I heard in this whole trial. And he said, you all have heard the term GOAT, greatest of all time. Michael Cohen is GLOAT, GLOAT, greatest liar of all time. All this comes down to the credibility of Michael Cohen. And it's quite obvious to anybody who was in the courtroom, which, by the way, side note, supposedly, or GLOAT might stand for greatest loser of all time. TBA, you might be right about that one. But anyway, according to reports, when Todd Blanche got off that line about Michael Cohen being the GLOAT, one of the jurors smiled and chuckled. Now, who knows what that means? I'm just saying. I thought that was an interesting response. It might be the sign of a sympathetic juror. So like I said, we have 3 hours of argument in the defense of Trump and about roughly 6 hours for closing arguments. I want to see if there are any updates out there real quick, so hang on one moment. Nothing yet. Let's see if thehill.com has anything. Okay, they have adjourned. This is from thehill.com from Zach Schoenfeld. Court has broken for the day at roughly 8 p.m., by far the longest day of the trial, which normally ends around 4:30. Trump did not speak to the cameras, as he usually does at the end of the day. Given the late hour, the judge said the proceedings will resume tomorrow, a half an hour late at 10 a.m. Okay. All right. Well, I stand corrected. He started at 9:30 this morning. My bad. So tomorrow morning, Marshawn gives the instructions, and he should give the instructions, and then from there, he puts it in the hands of the jury. Now, how long Marshawn will take to give his instructions, don't know yet. And I'm very worried about the instructions. Good evening, Commander. Boy, this has turned into quite the party. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad to have all y'all here. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. So it will soon be in the hands of the jury. Now, and y'all throw your comments out there. What do you think is going to happen? I don't think there's any way in the world Trump gets found innocent. I would love to be surprised. I really would. I just don't see it. I do not see it happening. Yeah, and I agree. And here's part of the reason why I'm worried. I think Marshawn's going to be specific. I think he's going to be very specific in how he crafts the instructions, and he'll probably do it in such a way that'll hose Trump. Okay? I think my personal opinion, the best shot that Trump has got at this point is a hung jury. There's one, maybe two jurors that just say, this case is full of shit. There is no way in hell on any of these 30-something counts I'm going to vote guilty for Donald Trump. I'm just not going to do it. And frankly, if that one or two jurors felt that way, it would be totally understandable, and I'll show you why. Randy Zellin, who is a very famous defense attorney, was on CNN today, and he had some comments about what he thought about the prosecution's efforts and all this. Folks, do me a favor and take a listen to this.
After listening to all of this, do you think they fell short? How?
They fell way short because let's start with reasonable doubt. What is reasonable doubt? And it's not simply a doubt based upon reason. Anytime a human being needs to make an important decision in life, if you have enough information, for example, doctor says you need open heart surgery. Doc, go ahead and schedule. I don't have a reasonable doubt. Conversely, if I say, I appreciate it, but I need a second opinion, I need more information, that is having a reasonable doubt. There is reasonable doubt all over this case. Where is Keith Schiller? Where is Alan Weisselberg? How did Michael Cohen get away with stealing $30,000? Hold a pity party for him. Made $4 million on this. Thought he'd be chief of staff. He's a fixer. If the plumber comes to my house to fix my leak, I could be home. That doesn't mean I know how he's doing it and what it's taking to be fixed. Stormy Daniels, let's hold a pity party for her. Why do we need to know whether or not the former president wore a condom or not? It's simply about, did the former president know that books, his records, false entries for legal fees? Michael Cohen was his lawyer. Did he intend to cover up the election or to protect his family? It's everywhere.
When Randy gets to whisper tones, I start getting concerned.
Okay, and he's absolutely right. The Democrats have made this election about everything except what it should be about, which this is a smear campaign. Drag Stormy Daniels into the courtroom, get her on the stand, and let her testify. Why, yes, we did this, we did that. No, he did not use protection, or whatever. Bring in Michael Cohen. It's a smear campaign. And I think, where is it? Where is that comment from? Yeah, if this was a fair and impartial, this thing never would have gone to trial. Absolutely never would have gone to trial. And yet, for the 5 or 6 weeks they've been up there in New York, they have tried everything in the world, and they can't get the thing done. Here's another comment from the inestimable Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law professor. And this is when the prosecution was still giving their arguments. Prosecutors are now getting into the approval of the payment for Cohen. Once again, the prosecutors are citing an agreement between Weisselberg and Cohen. It was then presented to Trump, and he approved it after he was president. Once again, it only highlights the failure to call Weisselberg. Instead, he has presented Cohen's account of what Weisselberg said. Prosecutors just said that Trump, quote, gave his orders to Weisselberg, who carried them out, yet he is sitting at Rikers, and they talking about Weisselberg, and they did not call him. Instead, they're describing him as a loyalist to Trump. The problem is, under New York law, the defense was forced to go first. Unlike most jurisdictions that denied the defense the chance to respond to sweeping claims, it's a huge disadvantage for the prosecution. I've said before, and I'll say it again. This trial, I mean, Robert's absolutely right. If this were fair and impartial, this thing never goes to trial. Number one. Number two, but it's in trial, and Marshawn has absolutely, with every motion, with every ruling on motions, with every decision from the bench, has absolutely tried to weigh this thing against Trump. The only hope he's got right now is a hung jury. Now, here's the question that I got for you guys, and I think I've got an opinion on this. Let's assume that somewhere by the end of the week, this jury comes back with a guilty verdict. Is this really going to hurt Trump where the election is concerned? I don't think it will. I think it's baked into the cake. I mean, the Democrats are absolutely desperate to make this stick. The Democrats are desperate to make this stick to Trump and say, convicted felon. He shouldn't be president. You can just see the first debate right now where Joe Biden says, well, I don't know why I'm debating. This guy's a convicted felon. He shouldn't be president. Hell, he's not even going to wait for the debate. He's going to get out there in the White House and start running his yap about it then, which is, by the way, a mistake as far as I'm concerned. You know, and Leah, I think you've got a perfectly valid point. Trial is taking attention on Biden's impairments entirely and putting it all on Trump because of how much they know. Yep. Well, and it's also taking attention away from something else, by the way, which is about to start up in earnest next month, and that's the trial of Hunter Biden on gun charges. And to answer your question, Leanne, not in a million years. Nope. Absolutely not. I don't, honestly, if he's found guilty, I don't think this is going to hurt him that bad. I really don't. TBA over on Rumble says, wait for the boomerang. Exactly. Oh, the laptop's not being talked about yet. So they've wrapped up their arguments. They've done everything they're supposed to do. Marshawn gives his instructions to the jury, and we take this thing to trial. Now, Darius, woo, man, this has really turned into a party. How you doing, brother? I don't think it will stick, but I do think the judge and some others have already convicted Trump, so I don't. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I'm prayerfully hoping for a hung jury, but we'll see. And I'll tell you one thing. If we get a hung jury out of this, you want to watch the Democrats absolutely fall apart for a few days? They will, because they've staked everything to this. I mean, I won't say this is their Waterloo or, whatever, but they've staked everything to this. They've got to get him here. If they don't get him here, they may not win. They may not win anyway, even if they do get him here. I'm good, sir. I'm real good. Glad to have you here tonight. But yeah, I mean, this is where we're at now. Now, by the by, to show you how desperate the Democrats have gotten, how much they're trying to just milk this thing in New York City, they went out today and got some help from Hollywood. A legendary actor and a severe Trump critic stopped by the courthouse today to make statements to the press. And I'm sure that y'all have heard about this, but if you haven't, we're going to get into it here in just 1 second. But before we do, I'm going to do a real quick commercial. And for those of you who are just dropping by, and apparently we got quite a few people tonight over on Rumble and definitely here on YouTube. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. This is Chattin on the Porch, a live stream that I do through the week where we get together and talk about the news. And like I say, ever since the first day of 2024, it has been nonstop news. I always find it funny when someone says, are you ever going to run out of something to talk about? And I'm like, first of all, this is me. I never run out of anything to talk about. Okay, number one. Number two, in this year, are you kidding me? I'm going to run out of something to talk about? You are out. I love you, but you're out of your gourd. So we're talking about all these things on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter. So if you haven't done it yet, send out your tweets, your getters, your gabs, your truth socials, your Facebook posts, wherever you are out there. Send the link out. Hit the thumbs up. Daggone y'all. I love you. Hit the thumbs up. If you know, I love you. You're always stopping by, but definitely don't forget hit the thumbs up on YouTube and on Rumble. It helps the algorithm. I'm telling you, this channel is starting to grow, and it's making me happy, and I'm having fun, and it's just joyous to watch. So there's the commercial. Now let's get back to regularly scheduled programming. Robert De Niro. God. Robert De Niro stopped by the courthouse today on behalf of the Biden campaign. Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant says, "Here's a thumbs up." Thank you, brother. And before I get into it, I'm very curious about this too. There are 2 lawyers on that jury. If they've got any ounce of impartiality to them, let's see what they come back with. Okay. This is. Commander. Hey, keep me updated. I had not forgotten about that. If you guys have got any updates coming out of Texas out of those runoff elections, post it in chat because I want to hear what's going on down there. Because Dave Phelan, who's the Speaker of the House in Texas and a Republican, is in the fight of his life to hang on to his seat down there. So, yeah, do me a favor, and if you got any results on the Texas runoff elections, drop them in chat and let me know because I want to hear about this. See, folks, you come here, you never know quite what you're going to get out of this live stream. You get a little bit of everything. We are worldwide, baby, all over the place. All right, De Niro, that doofus. Robert De Niro stopped by the courthouse on behalf of the Biden campaign. Now, notice what I just said. On behalf of the Biden campaign. Now, up to now, everybody in the Democrat Party has been trying to make it that this is, all about justice, and the Biden administration has nothing to do with this. Oh no. This is about Lady Justice having her way. In spite of the fact that Michael Colangelo, the number 2 man at the Justice Department, resigned from his job only to be hired by Alvin Bragg as an assistant DA in Manhattan. And no one finds that to be strange. No one finds it strange that a very high-ranking official in the Justice Department gives up a cushy federal job to go to work in the grit and grime of Manhattan in the DA's office. And it seems like he got hired down there just in time to work on the Trump case. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway, so up to now, the Biden administration has been trying to convince everybody they have absolutely nothing at all to do with the fact that Donald Trump is on trial in 4 different jurisdictions around the country. They've been trying to make it out that Trump is the worst thing since Satan. And, this is all his own doing is why he's got all these problems. Yet De Niro showed up on behalf of the Biden campaign. We'll get to that in a moment. But let me show you some of the reaction that poor old Mr. De Niro got when he went down to the Big Apple. Here he is walking in. This runs about 40 seconds. And this is kind of interesting. Being heckled by Trump supporters. Okay, now he's reading from a prepared, you see that paper in his hand, he's got a prepared statement, and all of this is very contrived. It's very kind of weird, frankly, but notice there were some other people there, and I wish I had some more clips for this. But De Niro goes up there, gives this kind of, rolling sort of a speech. Hang on, I think I found another one. Yeah, I did. Hang on. This is from thehill.com. Let me pop this back up here, let you hear some of it. This is from De Niro's speech today. Folks, you really want to laugh? Check this one out.
This is really, even these people over here are it's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. And this thing, Donald Trump has created this.
No, Donald Trump didn't create this. This is the reaction of people standing up for someone they believe in, just like you guys standing up for somebody you believe in. Actually, as far as who created it, Donald Trump shouldn't even be here. You guys are the ones that created this trial. But let us continue, Mr. De Niro. Please give us your words of wisdom.
He should be telling them not to do this, but he's just, he wants to sow total, he wants to sow total chaos, which he's succeeding in some areas and places to do. Anyway, beside all that, this is my neighborhood, downtown New York City. I grew up here and feel at home in these streets. I feel comfortable.
Okay, well, I'm glad he feels comfortable. Yeah, and that's a great point, Gypsy. If Donald Trump is the great evil, the great Satan of our time, the Antichrist in a blue suit and a red tie, how come De Niro can't seem to find the cojones or the passion in his heart to absolutely just cry out against this man? How dare he mock our democracy? Good God. So I think it's a completely valid point. Yeah, that's a great way of describing it. Absolutely great way of describing it. Now, I said a moment ago, one other thing. You might have noticed some gentlemen standing behind De Niro. Well, apparently the Biden campaign, I'm telling you what, to show you the level of desperation that the Biden campaign and the Democrat Party in general is feeling, they are pulling out all the stops to try and paint Donald Trump as the enemy of democracy. They're getting ready to pull out the whole J6 thing again. Check this story out from CNN.com. Biden re-election campaign enlists January 6 police officers to campaign in key swing states. Article by Kayla Tashawi. We've got the following. The Biden re-election has enlisted 3 police officers, all of whom were working at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, when rioters overtook the building, to stump for Biden across battleground states in the coming weeks, the campaign told CNN. Sergeant Aquilino Gonell, Officer Harry Dunn, and Officer Danny Hodges plan to tell voters across key swing states that former President Trump poses a threat to democracy and to their fundamental rights as Americans. Dunn and Gonell sustained injuries during the attack on the Capitol and have since retired from the Capitol Police. Hodges continues to serve in the D.C. Metro Police Department. Quote, "We were the victims. We lived through it. If I can tell that story a million times, I will. If I can do that, I'll just be doing my part to save our democracy." Oh, my God. These people... Save our democracy. Hang on a minute. We're not the ones trying to jail our political opponent. We're the ones that actually believe that anybody ought to be allowed on the ballot. We're not trying to do ballot challenges to get them off the ballot. Okay? We actually believe in freedom of speech. We actually believe in freedom of assembly. We actually believe in freedom of religion. We actually believe in the right of the vote. We believe that the vote ought to be secure. We actually believe that you ought to be required to prove that you're an eligible voter in order for your ballot to be valid. If someone can explain to me how what we believe in is the destruction of democracy, I really want to hear this argument, because you have got to be crazier than a bedbug to somehow paint folks like me, folks like you, folks like Donald Trump as being the enemies of democracy. We are more in tune with small d democracy than these people will ever be on their best day. Standing up, doing my part to save democracy. Oh, go pound sand, you moron. Sorry. It's moments like that. There is just only so much stupid that I can stand before I go off. And it's reaching that point. Ugh. Sorry. I'm getting wound up. TBA over on Rumble says the democracy that the Dems are fearful of losing is the mob rule that they have in D.C. Truer words were never said, brother. Daggone straight. Daggone straight. Unbelievable. Leah, the Biden campaign is like Pinocchio as a puppet trying to stand up and say, I'm a real boy. And the rest of us are the ones just stand there as he grows donkey ears and a tail. Mm-hmm. Preach, sister. Preach it. Preach it now. Come on with it. Come on with it. Yep. Yep. You got it. Unbelievable, these people. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that De Niro and these former J6 police officers are there on behalf of the Biden campaign. When I first heard that, my reaction was, that's a mistake. And I'll tell you why. The reason that I say it's a mistake is it absolutely destroys the perception that this is impartial. Now, don't get me wrong. Most Americans who take a look at this and they take a time just to look at the facts beyond just a cursory glance of it are going to realize, no, this isn't impartial. This is Biden and his people trying to screw Trump over using lawfare. Okay. But for those people who aren't really tuned into it, which I understand, you're trying to live your life, you're trying to pay your bills, you're trying to keep the roof over your head and food on the table, you're not taking the time to pay attention to this stuff. And thank God you've got me. Because in those moments when you don't have time to pay attention to it, I will pay attention to it for you, and I'll tell you what's going on. I won't tell you what to think, but I'll tell you what's going on. I'll let you make up your mind because I trust you with your innate common sense to put two and two together and figure out, man, this is a screw job. But anyway, but I'm not the only one that thinks this is a mistake. And normally I'm not inclined to agree with Karl Rove on much of anything. But this is one of those moments I think he's absolutely right. Take a look at this. From thehill.com, we've got the following. De Niro event outside Trump trial, big mistake for Biden campaign. Article by Philippe Timothea. Ma'am, I'm glad my West Virginian covers things like pronouncing foreign names. Veteran Republican strategist Karl Rove said that President Biden's campaign made a big mistake Tuesday in politicizing former President Trump's hush money trial by having actor Robert De Niro and two January 6 police officers show up near the courthouse for a press conference. Quote, stupid mistake by the Biden campaign, Rove said during his Tuesday appearance on Fox News, where he is a contributor. They wanted to get, while all the cameras were there, they wanted to get their moment in the sun, and it was a big mistake. De Niro, along with former police officers Henry Dunn and Michael Fanone, talked about the potential dangers of a second Trump term during their appearance near the Manhattan courthouse. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss all these freedoms and we take for granted, and elections, forget about it. He will never leave, De Niro said. Rove, who was a top advisor to President George W. Bush, questioned whether the event would attract new voters at a time when some Democrats are increasingly worried about Biden's reelection efforts. Quote, it politicized the trial, better to have waited, Rove said, arguing that the type of voter up for grabs in November's election would not be won over by De Niro's dire warnings. Are those the kind of credible statements that are going to cause people who don't like Biden and don't like Trump, but are trying to figure out who to vote for? Rove said. The people who believe they are already in the Biden camp, that's not who they should be trying to reach out to. He came close in a moment talking about January 6th and talking about the two officers, but that might have had less impact. This was so over the top as to simply be useless. And you know what? I cannot disagree with Rove on this one. Like I say, normally I am not in the habit of giving old Karl Rove a lot of credit because, oh, no, I'm going to keep that opinion to myself. But you get my point. I think he's right. This does nothing to help them. Absolutely nothing. So, by the way, we do have footage of some of the reaction to De Niro's comments, and you know, I really think that we ought to show this. And I mean, I don't know how you guys are going to react to this, but I think that, to try and get a feel for what's going on, you guys need to see what's happening out there. So let me pull this up, and we do, like I said, we've got reaction to De Niro's comments. Folks, do me a favor and check this out.
If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave. What does that mean?
Well, apparently some people like that idea, I guess. So folks, that is where we are with how things stand in Manhattan. And I'm in my own way, trying to weave together things to show you that one is begetting the other. The absolute abject fear inside the Democratic Party is causing them to act in the most irrational manner. I mean, you can make an argument about this trial, about what it is. It's many different things, but it's abject fear. If you strip all this down, okay, you strip all this down, this trial, the trial in D.C., the trial in Miami, Drama Mama's trial down there in Atlanta that's currently on hold right now. All four of these are nothing more than the outgrowth of fear. The Democrats know they cannot get Joe Biden across the finish line just on pure policy. They can't do it on economic policy. They can't do it on foreign policy. You cannot make an argument. Remember what that article from Politico said, the Democrat operative. If this comes down to an argument between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and the question is, who were you better off under? We're going to lose that. The Democrats are flat on admitting it. We're going to lose that argument every day and twice on Sunday. Okay? They know it. So what's left? Get him into a courtroom, drain him of financial resources for the campaign, smear his name through the mud, get something on him, get a guilty verdict. And in the meanwhile, pervert our system of justice in such a way that foreign nations that we would otherwise lecture about the rule of law and about impartial justice. You remember those things we used to talk to communist nations about? Things we used to talk to banana republics about? Now the communists and the banana republics are looking back at us saying, don't you ever dare lecture us again after watching what you are trying to do to your leading political opponent. We are disgracing the American system of justice. Look, you lay aside how you feel about Trump, okay? And God knows everybody's got strong feelings one way or the other here. But for those of you out there that do not like this man, nay, those of you out there that hate this man, do you hate him so much that you will absolutely subvert and pervert the American system of justice built upon centuries of Anglo-Saxon law and tradition? You would subvert and pervert that and turn it into a weapon to be used in a political dispute. Do you really hate Donald Trump that much that that's what you're willing to do? Apparently that's the case, because that's what you've done. And now, the only thing, well, not the only thing, but close to the only thing that might stop this travesty is if one or two of these jurors stand up and go, not just no, hell no, this case is full of shit. We're not going to find him guilty on one single solitary damn charge. Let's go home. The only other thing that might stop it is the ruling on presidential immunity. And that would be a big hammer in the middle of the table. So yeah, all you Democrats and progressives out there, you Hollywood types, y'all that's sitting out there in Chicago on the north side, or wherever you be, in Baltimore or in Georgetown, wherever you are at your cocktail parties, and you hold your nose up in the air and you stick your pinky finger out when you're holding on to your martini glass and talking, oh, Trump is just a troglodyte. He's a caveman. He's a barbarian. We cannot possibly let this evil man back into the presidency. Do you really hate your fellow man that much? Do you really hate Donald Trump that much that you will almost destroy the American system of justice as a way to stop him politically? Y'all just let that sink into your conscience. Oh, goodness. My. It is, gosh, what is it right now? 8:40. No, I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. I don't have my glasses on. Wait a minute. Where are my glasses? Oh, there. There we go. 8:45. It is 8:45 Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday night. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, sometimes known as the common man with common sense. I'm hanging out with y'all, and we're getting together. We're talking about what's going on in the news and trying to figure out what it means, and we're trying to decide if we need to laugh, cry, or both. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We are on Twitter. And we're going to switch topics ever so slightly because there are some other pieces of judicial news that are going on across the country. And then we're going to get into a couple of topics that one of them I've been following. Well, actually, both of them I've been following with some interest because they do affect what's going on in the country. And one of them is political, one of them is practical. And you'll see what I'm getting at here in just a minute. Now, in other judicially related news, all right, to get you guys up to speed in case you don't know about this, but for people who are regulars on the electronic front porch, y'all might remember this. Last Friday, about 4 days ago now, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. About 4 days ago on Friday around 9 o'clock at night, Jack Smith, the special prosecutor in the matter of Donald Trump, United States versus Donald Trump, who we here on the electronic front porch affectionately refer to as Jack Boot, old Jack Boot filed a motion with Judge Eileen Cannon down in Miami requesting a gag order on Donald Trump. Now, if you're wondering what the gag order is about, the gag order was about the fact that Donald Trump was raising all kinds of hell over the fact that the FBI authorized lethal force when they went down to Mar-a-Lago in August of 2022 to retrieve documents. Well, Trump, quite appropriately, said, these people were ready to lock and load on me. Well, that was all Jack Smith needed. He's like, we've got to shut him up. We can't have him talking about this and getting this out there. My God, we'll look like a bunch of Gestapo thugs. If Trump keeps talking about this, people are going to get upset. So Jack Boot went down to Eileen Cannon and said, hey, you got to put a gag order on him about this. You can't let him talk about this stuff. Well, Judge Cannon ruled on this, and it was none too good for old Jack Boot. We go to the pages of Politico, and we've got the following. Headline, Judge Cannon rebukes Trump prosecutor over gag order request. That's putting it politely for what she did to him. In the court order, the judge again faulted the special counsel for failing to provide courtesy to Trump lawyers. Headlined by article by Josh Gerstein and Kyle Cheney. The judge overseeing the criminal case against Donald Trump for hoarding classified documents at his Florida home has again chided special counsel Jack Smith's team for its tactics, this time over a request for an order preventing Trump from repeating baseless claims that FBI agents carrying out a search at Mar-a-Lago were authorized to kill him. With all due respect to the authors of this article, Gerstein and Cheney, that's not a baseless claim. They were authorized the use of lethal force. If they felt it necessary, that means they could have shot and killed somebody. But let us continue. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon turned down the gag order request Tuesday as she delivered another sharp warning to prosecutors that they need to make more concerted efforts at dialogue with Trump's counsel before bringing disputes to the court. Quote, the court finds the special counsel's pro forma conferral with the defense to be wholly lacking in substance and professional courtesy, wrote Cannon, a Trump appointee. It should go without saying that meaningful conferral is not a perfunctory exercise. Cannon did not rule out granting the request in the future, but she said prosecutors would need to further engage with Trump's side over the issue before she will take it up again. She also questioned Smith's claim of urgency to file the gag order request, noting that the prosecutors filed it on a non-emergency basis. It was submitted on the Friday evening before Memorial Day weekend, leading Trump's lawyers to complain that they were being rushed into responding. And that's not an unfair claim, by the way. Not unfair at all. In addition, Cannon appeared to fault Smith's attorneys for skewing how they described the stance that Trump's lawyers had taken on the proposed gag order. The judge suggested prosecutors had relegated Trump's response to editorialized footnotes rather than just reciting it neutrally to the court. She directed both sides to provide her with more details in the future on their attempts to work out such disputes and to do so in more objective terms. Basically, you put that in plain English, Judge Cannon laid the smackdown on Smith. And my response to that is, oh, hell, yes, he had it coming. I mean, you file a motion on a Friday night before Memorial Day at about 9 o'clock in the evening, and you just try to sweep this one by and get Cannon to go along with it? Are you crazy? Oh, my word. And this is a valid point, too. He can't even the classified document straight. And you want a gag order on Trump? Unbelievable, these guys. Just look. And I think the Politico article is right. I think Gerstein and Cheney are absolutely right. Judge Cannon could still modify the gag order, which I don't think she ought to, because the legitimate question needs to be asked. And I'm going to ask it again. And I know y'all have heard me ask this a million and one times right now, but you know what? It needs to be said. Can somebody please explain to me why you need the use of lethal force for the retrieval of documents? Documents which, by the way, up until 2 months prior to the raid, Donald Trump had been working with the FBI through his lawyers to try to give back to the National Archives and Records Administration what they were requesting. You're talking about retrieving documents. What in the hell? It's standard procedure. Really? For document retrieval? Whatever. All right. Couple other stories. Now, this one is for Robert and for Miss 169 out there. And I've been following this story for a little while now because this is absolutely intriguing to me that the Democrat Party could screw this up as badly as they did. But then again, the more I think about it, you could almost make an argument that this story and how it's been handled by the Democrats is indicative of the level of competence that seems to run throughout the party of Andrew Jackson. Now, For those of you that don't know what I might be referring to, let me get y'all up to speed. The Democrat National Convention starts in August. I want to say that somewhere the week, I think it's the week of the 19th. And under Ohio law, a candidate must be certified to be on the ballot for president by no later than 90 days prior to the election. So if you work backwards from November the 5th to that date, you've got basically August the 7th. Well, that presents a problem on the calendar in the state of Ohio. And that is this. If the Democrat National Convention is August 19th, and the deadline to certify your presidential candidate is August the 7th, that means, strictly speaking, the Democrats missed the deadline, and under current Ohio law, Joe Biden would not be on the ballot. Now, for those of you who are sitting there thinking, what, really? We're just now finding out about this? No. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. The state of Ohio has been trying to straighten out this situation really since March, maybe April. There's correspondence been going back and forth between the Ohio Secretary of State's office and the Democrat National Committee and the Democrat Party of Ohio saying, hey, guys, we got to figure this thing out because, here's when your convention is. Here's the deadline to get Joe Biden on the ballot. We got a problem here. Now, you got two options. You guys either change the date of the convention or we come up with some kind of legislative solution that gives Biden an exemption and, you get him on the ballot. Well, up to now, the Democrats have absolutely refused to change the date. And TBA over on Rumble says, loser DeWine called a special session to make it all okay for Biden to be on the ballot. Well, now hold on to that, TBA. We'll get to that here in just a second. Hang on. I saw you. I see that hand out there, brother. So Frank LaRose, the current Secretary of State in Ohio, has been trying to work this thing out. Well, okay. The legislature in Ohio, while they were in regular session, had a bill going that would have given just that, would have given an exemption to current Ohio law and let Biden be on the ballot for the November election. However, before the bill passed over to the House Representatives, while it was still in the state Senate, the Senate president put a provision into the bill that said any foreign monies are banned from being used to influence elections in the state of Ohio. Well, when that provision got put into the bill, all of a sudden Democrats over in the House start going, harumph, 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 harumph. We can't do this. So they killed it. Even though the Republicans run the chamber, they killed the thing. So finally, last week, the Speaker of the House, who's a Republican, put out a press release saying, look, guys, we can't work this thing out. There's no will in the House, to get this thing passed. We don't know what to do here. So as TBA reminds everybody, Governor DeWine called them into special session. And I kind of get where DeWine's coming from, even though I don't necessarily agree with what he's doing. I mean, I've said it before. I'm all about tactical advantage if I'm working for a candidate. And you know what? If the Democrats are silly enough to set up a situation where Joe Biden is not put on the ballot in the state of Ohio for the presidential election in November, well, you know what? I'm not in much of a mood to bail him out. All right? But DeWine called them into special session. Well, the Democrats today responded with their solution to the problem. Now, we'll see if this passes muster, okay? But on its face, I think this is going to solve the problem for the Democrats. We go to thehill.com and we got the following. DNC plans to virtually nominate Biden ahead of convention amid Ohio ballot concerns. Article by Carolyn Vakiel, we have the following. Democrat National Committee is planning to virtually nominate Biden ahead of the party's convention after the Ohio state legislature deadlocked on a fix last week to get the president on the ballot in November. DNC Chair Jamie Harrison announced Democrats would be holding a virtual roll call vote to ensure Biden gets on the ballot in all 50 states. An announcement made on the same day, Ohio state lawmakers returned to the Capitol for a special session to solve Biden's ballot access issue. Quote, Joe Biden will be on the ballot in Ohio and all 50 states, and Ohio Republicans agree. But when the time has come for action, they have failed to act every time. So Democrats will land this plane on their own, Harrison said in a statement. Through our virtual roll call, we will ensure that Republicans can't chip away at our democracy through incompetence or partisan tricks, that Ohioans can exercise their right to vote for the presidential candidate of their choice. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute there, Harrison. We're not here because of the Republicans. We're here because of you guys. You guys are the dipsticks that can't read a calendar. And apparently the election lawyers that you guys are keeping on the payroll over at the DNC are not worth the money that they're being paid, because y'all apparently ain't got the brains among you to read a calendar and realize, oh crap, our convention is about 2 weeks after the deadline in Ohio. Maybe we ought to change the date of the convention. No, we're here in this situation right now, not because of the Republicans. Look, you can like Frank LaRose, the Secretary of State. You can like or dislike the Republicans, the legislature in Ohio. That's fine. But we're here right now because you dipsticks can't read. So cut the crap, okay? I realize you're a partisan, and I realize you're trying to spin this to the best way possible to make you and your party and that senile old ice cream eating, hair sniffing derelict of a president look good. But please give it a rest. Okay? Sorry, let us continue. Democrats were notified earlier this year that the timing of their convention didn't meet a state deadline to certify their party's presidential nominee. Democrats needed to certify Biden by August 7th in order to make the Ohio ballot, but the Democrat convention kicks off the beginning August 19th. Okay. So now, for those of you who are wondering what they mean by virtual roll call, folks who are seasoned, who are watching this live stream, have probably watched enough political conventions to know what the roll call of the states is. It's a very old tradition at political conventions where the presiding officer of the convention calls upon each state's delegation to declare how their delegates vote. And it's a very old and very cool custom in politics. Okay. And for guys like me who appreciate that sort of thing, it's always a very special sort of thing when it happens. So what the Democrats apparently are proposing to do is, as opposed to physically getting together for the roll call of the states, and they may still do it as part of the convention in Chicago, by the way, they're going to do it online. Now, whether that satisfies the requirements of Ohio, I would think that it would. If the Democrats acknowledge in writing or by virtue of the internet or however they're going to do it, if they acknowledge, okay, we on this date met online in this live stream, did a roll call of the states virtually, and we affirm that Joe Biden is officially the nominee of the party, to me, I think that solves the problem. Now, we'll see what Frank LaRose, the Secretary of State, says about it, but that's what they're proposing to do in Ohio to get over their issue here. So, Eric. Now, TBA asked the question, so now the Dems don't need to meet in Chicago? Strictly, as I understand this, I mean, look, the National Convention serves any number of functions, okay? The Democrats are still going to, technically speaking, you're right, because the whole point of the convention is to declare your nominee, okay? But there's all kinds of things that have, other traditions that have surrounded national conventions. The speech of the vice president, the speech of the president or presidential nominee, and other speakers are up there, doing et cetera and so on. Technically speaking, this would meet the requirement. Would they have to meet in Chicago? Well, no, not really. Are they still going to do it? Yeah. because of fulfillment of all the other traditions that go along with a national political convention. So they're still going to meet in Chicago, which, by the way, that's going to be an absolute that's going to be wild. That will be wild. So, I mean, yeah, they could do a totally virtual convention. I just can't see them doing it. I really can't. I mean, what would be aside from getting around this problem in Ohio, what would be the point of doing a virtual convention? I mean, look, there's not a whole lot of enthusiasm in the Democrat Party right now for Joe Biden. One of the purposes of a political convention is to fire up your activists and your base and send them out there like, let's go get Joe Biden elected. Well, if you're not going to even do that, that's going to even diffuse the enthusiasm even more. WWG1 says, I affirm that Front Porch Conservative will be the nominee of the Democrat National Convention. I am revoking your mod status for that comment, young man. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. We got an update from Texas. Brandon Herrera is now down 14.6 with only 44% of the ballot. It's narrowed slightly. Keep it coming, dude. Keep it coming. Any updates you got about Texas while we're still up here, throw them in. That is the fear that a lot of people have, by the way. So, yeah. And don't worry, by the way, we're going to cover the conventions. I've already got time off from work. I'm going to be live streaming during the day, and then we'll cover the conventions in the evening. So, yeah, I'm going to be wall to wall, baby. Going to be having fun those 2 weeks. At least I will anyway. All right. Let's see. Meeting in Chicago would probably be political suicide. They're going to do it. They'll do it. I mean, it would only turn into political suicide if the Democrats have a repeat in 2024 of what they had in 1968. Chaos inside the convention, a divided convention, protests on the outside. I mean, in 68, they were protesting the Vietnam War. You've got the potential for people protesting the Israel-Hamas conflict. So, yeah, you got all kinds of stuff going on there. All right, one last story, and we're going to wrap it up for the night. I just want you guys to know that the President of the United States, Joe Biden, cares about you. He understands your suffering. To borrow a line from one of his predecessors, he feels your pain. And to prove that, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, is trying to help you out this summer. I take you to his Twitter page. Check this out. Gas prices are down 140 from their peak after the Russian war. They're still too high. My administration is releasing 1 million barrels of gasoline from the Russia Northeast Gasoline Supply Reserve ahead of July 4th, which will lower prices at the pump when folks have to remember that near the restaurant near the mush. That's great. Good news. There's just one little problem with all that, folks. And it's this. Cut loose that gasoline from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and you are going to basically bring our reserves that are supposed to be there in case of a real emergency. You're going to basically drop us down to half of what we used to have in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So, way to go there, Joe. Please go back to eating your ice cream, and please don't do anything to try and help us. You're screwing us over every time you do it. So, thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciate that. All right, folks. You guys have got a life, and so do I. Let's wrap it up for the night. Thank you ever so much for being here. This has been a load of fun as always. And if nothing else, you've given me the opportunity to get some stuff out of my system, which is potentially dangerous, depending on how you look at it. But I want to thank you guys again for being here for Chatting on the Porch. We will be back tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. Hope you're able to join us. Absolutely been a load of fun having you guys here. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Remember to come back tomorrow night on your way out the door. Please hit that thumbs up. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, please do so. Sub on YouTube and on Rumble. Thank you so much for being here. Come back tomorrow night at 7:30. And remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall. It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money. Thanks for stopping by, folks, and we'll see you later.